Welcome back to the Reading Rift, where we continue our interview with USA Today bestseller Veronica Bane of Difficult Girls. This is the spoiler warning.
Yes, anything in this episode will be a spoiler, so if you haven't read the book, go watch our last episode with Veronica Bane, read the book, and then come back and watch this video.
Okay, so Veronica Bane, what is a difficult girl?
I would say a difficult girl is, I don't think they are actually difficult. I think that they make other people deal with things that they maybe don't want to deal with. And they ask questions. Oh, they ask so many questions, at least if they're Greta. And they just essentially make it so that they can't be ignored.
So we want to go into some of your amazing female characters, because that's what we both really liked. We love the dialogue and the personalities of all the female main characters, or the female characters, were great. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask you the same question, and then we're gonna list you some of the names, and we want you to answer this question for all the characters. So it's, what makes your character a difficult girl by their world's standards, but those are actually their strengths. So first we'll start with Greta. What makes her a difficult girl, but it's actually her strength?
Greta wants a lot. She wants a certain path. She wants boys. Honestly, I think that was a big thing, that I wanted a teen girl that was not afraid to have a crush and who was devoted to pursuing that crush, even though she's gone through some challenging things. And so I really wanted a girl who wanted. And I think for other people, those wants often make them uncomfortable or go against what they want for Greta, and they want her to make herself smaller, and she's just not capable of doing that if she wanted to.
I love Greta and everything, even though she was definitely, you'd feel she's not as mature as a full-grown adult would be. And it was great reading her, and honestly, that is the perfect grasp of Greta. So the next one, what makes Mercy a difficult girl in the world's standards, but that's actually her strengths?
So I feel like Mercy is an example of how a lot of times young women can't win. So they're either too loud, like Greta, and that they want, but in a lot of ways, Mercy also wants. She wants a career. She has a passion. She wants to be good at it. And she reminds me a lot of a few years ago. I feel like people got, they were real mean to Anne Hathaway. They didn't like that Anne Hathaway was open about the fact that she wanted to win an Oscar, and she wanted to be a good actress, and she wanted to be seen as kind of at the top of her craft. And people, I think, wanted it to be that she didn't actively want those things. She just stumbled into them. I feel like we want women who are very humble, very quiet about their ambitions. And it's just oh, look at me. I did this, and look, here I am. And I think Mercy to me is like that. She's someone who is actively pursuing a dream, and that makes people uncomfortable.
I definitely related to Mercy, because some of the feedback people gave Mercy in the book, I definitely received when I was in high school and my early college years, of just me wanting whatever group I was a part of to just work really hard and excel, and everyone's this is for a low level assignment. Why would we have an extra practice or an extra meeting, or who really cares? And I'm I just care about putting out good work. And I definitely got picked on a lot because of my insistence upon hard work. But I agree that it's not making her difficult. It just makes her have a good idea of what she wants. Okay,
sorry. I was just gonna say, I do think that Mercy could probably stand to laugh about herself a little bit more. I mean, because I do love, it was very fun to write this character who, took a theme park role as a red panda, as seriously as the grave. There's something really funny about that. But at the same time, she's just a girl with a dream, and she wants to do things well. And, but do I think that, Ivy should be there being girl, you're a red panda, just take it down? Yeah, I think that's fair.
Ivy, let's talk about her next, because she's my favorite character from the get-go. And she's the character that I was oh no, when we ran into her the trail, and I was like, oh no, please don't be Ivy. That's the bad guy. No, not Ivy.
Yeah, I loved her so much too.
So, what makes Ivy difficult, and that's actually her strength?
I think that Ivy is going to tell you exactly how she feels, whether you want to hear it or not. And that I think is a big thing that a lot of people do not like. Uh they want women to be very quiet, and they want women to be very non-confrontational, and they want to be able to tell them to do something and for them to just do it and to accept it. And I also think that Ivy, there is something about her where, if you hurt her friends, she would absolutely hurt you. There is something to that. She is not going to stand idly by. She is not afraid, and that's scary for people.
Yeah, I love that she was like every time Neil would come around, she was like, "And you're gonna," or Green, she was like, you're gonna, what are you gonna do about it?" Because she was like, she's kind of like, we work at a theme park. Everybody, calm down. But she was like, I just love that because I need an Ivy in my life. Like she's who I was like, I need an Ivy in my life, and that's kind of my husband's kind of like an Ivy to me. He's like, calm down. Like this is great, but let's just calm down a little bit and not take it so seriously all the time.
Yeah, honestly, I loved all of her dialogues. All of them. Like they had such great dialogue and fit their characters so well that it just made it that much more fantastic. And then this one is a little like off the beaten cut because it's Greta's mom. What makes Greta's mom a difficult girl, and what are her strengths, really?
So I think, the since this is the spoiler section, Greta, her parents are going through a long process of a divorce, and I think that there is difficulty in saying that the life that I envision for myself is not the life that is happening in front of me. And I think that she wants so badly for her daughter to be able to move past this trauma that in many ways I'm sure she feels responsible for it, because I think parents feel responsible for the bad decisions that their kids make, whether they should or not. And so I think her difficulty comes in she's trying to be all the things that parents are told they're supposed to, and she's just not getting there. Like in some ways, Greta is not letting her get there. She's not being honest with her mom about everything. And there's always stuff that you're going to hide from your parents. And so as much as she wants to be a great mom, I think she is. But I don't think she would say that she is until certain things resolve.
I really appreciate her mom in the story because I'm a mom and I have a mom, and I remember like in high school when I would have difficult situations with administrators. I remember like the administrators being like, we're gonna call your parents and they're gonna take our side on this situation. And I remember both my parents, they would be like, we're gonna trust what our daughter is saying. You're not allowed to bully her. This is crazy. So I kind of felt like her mom was trying to do that, but she was still kind of being pushed down by the men in the room a little bit, like with her soon to be maybe ex-husband and then the assistant principal and everything in that situation. And what I remember her saying, she was like, okay, but does this detective have to be here? Like, this is crazy what you guys are doing. And so I loved her as a mom. I think she's a great mom too.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Allie is our last one that we wanted to get your pick on what makes her difficult.
I love Allie. I mean, I think that I love writing a mean girl. I love writing a mean girl because I feel like, at least when I was growing up, and I feel like I still see this, it's just in a different font, honestly, these days, but the not like other girls, the idea that some girls are just, you put up a wall with them. You think that they have things or they understand things that you don't. And so it was always really important to me that Allie ultimately be a girl's girl, that she has her faults, and she has, I mean, she's mean. Like I wanted a mean girl that was actually mean. Like she says and does things that are mean, but that does not mean that she can't come back from them and redeem herself. And I loved that. I always wanted Allie to have an opportunity to kind of show how you may have misjudged her, because she misjudges herself and what she deserves and is capable of.
I think we added to that too a little bit because we we get the conversation with Lauren and Allie at the party, and then at the bowling alley, we get to see Allie kind of be like, well, maybe we shouldn't say these mean things about Mercy so harshly. And then we like kind of slowly are like, what is going on with the phone? And we're like, is she involved? What is going on? And then at the end, when she's the one that shows up with the police, I like, this is such a great roundabout. And then in the end of the book, where it's like everybody's moved forward and she's like kind of part of the group a little bit more now. And I think they're Mean Girls, we can come back sometimes. So
I will say, mean girls that are girls are like some of the most authentic people to me. So like reading that was like just amazing, and it just made me love her more.
yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I mean, I also loved Allie. She got one of my favorite lines where when Gray falls off the gondola and she's like, "Oh, is he dead?"
I was like, oh my gosh, one that's so relatable. Like, oh my gosh, come on. And it was like we both said that that line was just great.
Yeah, it was definitely memorable line.
Yeah. Um,
Thank you.
so the next question is about our favorite male main character. Did you ever consider making Liam the bad guy?
He is a cinnamon roll. This boy could not be a bad guy if he wanted to be. I honestly with Liam, my main thing with Liam is again, if Greta was going to be a girl who wants, I wanted her to have a boy who loves her completely for the weirdo that she is. That like he is constantly just seeing her and being like, this is it. Sign me up. I'm ready. And that she's the one getting in her own way. I always wanted him to be a cinnamon roll. Honestly, this is always something I feel like people roll their eyes when writers say that characters demand certain things, but he demanded to be a cinnamon roll. I did want him to be so loyal though that he breaks Greta's heart because he is loyal to Ivy as well as to Greta, that I wanted him to be someone who stands on principle and would not allow that. But he was always going to be a cinnamon roll. There was not a bad bone in this child's body. No.
Yeah, I love Liam, and I was like, anybody in this book can be the bad guy. If Liam is the bad guy, I will revolt because he was just so perfect.
He was so great, and it would have like been so devastating, but for Greta. But it was like,
Right.
no, that was the perfect ending.
So, why do you think it was important for Liam to be the way that he was for Greta's growth?
Well, I wanted them to each have, in my head, characters always have their own paths kind of beyond the page. And so I know I want characters to serve the story and each other, but I never want a character to just exist for another character's growth, if that makes sense. Obviously, his path is essential for Greta's growth, but I wanted him to be his own person. And I wanted him to show you that she has these terrible friends, right? Or this terrible ex-best friend. And she's learning throughout the book that you really can't trust people. And as valuable as that lesson may be, I wanted her to also see that some people can be trusted. That just because someone tells you, I think you're wrong, that doesn't mean that you throw them away as a friend, or more than a friend. That part of someone being good for you is that they will be there for the good and there for the bad, and that they'll be honest with you.
So the next question is a little deeper topic, but let's talk about the assistant principal and his response to Greta's situation. How, as an educator, can you counteract and change toxic school administrations?
Yeah, I got some feedback initially from this of, I don't think that admin would ever do that they would never take the boys' side, to which I had to unfortunately say, I think it is a well-established reality that they would absolutely take a young boy's side. I think we see it in society all the time, unfortunately. I know for me personally, I am always making sure that my female students and my students from marginalized genders in general feel comfortable speaking up for themselves. And I mean, it starts with little things of, no means no. Like if you're like with my niece, if I have multiple young nieces, sorry, cat appearance, if a young niece doesn't want to give me a hug when I leave, that is fine with me. I don't need you to learn from a young age that you have to hug people when you don't want to hug them. And as a teacher, making sure that, my students know, all of my students know that they can come to me, and that there are ways that we treat each other with respect, and consent is an important part of every single day. Like, even I don't do popcorn reading. If someone doesn't want to read, they don't have to read. If I call on someone, they don't want to ask a question, that's fine. We'll move it right along. I think that's important for young people to know.
I hated popcorn reading. Really spiked my dyslexia real hard. But I love that because I remember I had a chemistry teacher in high school. I was kind of dating the school bad boy, and she pulled me into her office one day and she was like, Lydia, you gotta make your own choices, but whatever you do, do not have babies with this guy. I was like,
She went right for it.
to repertoire. Like she and I were really close, but I was just like, I still remember that moment of her just like I'm not gonna boss you around. I'm gonna let you make choices, but my advice is to please don't make this choice. And I appreciate her advice to this day. So I avoided that situation. Okay, so I really felt with Greta's internal thoughts and her reactions to things. And I really felt like she was a realistic teenager. So as a writer, how did you represent the teenage mind so well?
I feel, for one, it takes a lot of being willing to go back and put yourself in the memories that you may want to move past, of realizing, okay, what decision should I have made versus what decision did I actually make? And again, seeing it every single day with my students and the decisions that they make, and the kind of the moves that they run in life, and just remembering that there is, a multitude of experiences that a teenager will have, but there is also that common thread of trying to figure out who you are in the world and what does it take to figure out who you are in the world, and having a deep respect for that. Like, I think it's important that teen characters be treated, intelligently, I mean, you can be really intelligent and still make some bad decisions. Like, I think Greta is a really smart girl. She just also is a girl, and she's figuring out what's important to her and what her values are. And it's important to have a deep respect for that process, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think two things can be true at once. So, like, it can be true that teenagers don't know what an adult knows, but that doesn't mean that they don't know things, that they're not intelligent. And I mean, my kids, I have two young kids, they're smarter than me. Like, like, sometimes I'm like, there's no way they'll understand this. I'm teaching my daughter to read, and like, there's no way she's gonna comprehend that the letter A can make different sounds at random times. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna tell her, and she got it. I just told her once, and she got it, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm sorry that I doubted you. I will not do it again. So
I will say, because she's my niece, her daughter, and it's just like, I'll say things sometimes, and a few weeks later, she'll like say it and tell me what I meant, because I explained photosynthesis to her one time, and like weeks later, she explained it again to me in the water cycle, and I was just like, okay, yeah, we're doing this. But like that, there's just like two things to be true at once, and it's like with teenagers, even it's inexperience does not equal intelligence. Like they still are very intelligent people. They just haven't been on the earth long enough to know some things, which is it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talking about teenagers and all, let's now talk about Axe body spray lighting up locker rooms and the Brad situation. Why do you think it's a meaningful representation for the vulnerability of teenagehood in this book?
Well, as I've said a few times, I wanted Greta to want, but I also wanted her to be mad. I wanted her to be angry. I wanted to explore that side of when you feel powerless, because that was a big part of the book, was what happens when you feel powerless, because a lot of the book was taken, inspired by my experience working at the theme park. And when I was a princess, I would do these shifts where I did not work at I worked at a big theme park, but I didn't work at the mouse related theme park that you may be thinking of, where the face characters have, these people that are with them to watch them. I didn't have anybody. I would go out there in my princess dress and I would sit on a throne, and it would be me for an hour taking pictures with people and interacting and being a princess. And there would be multiple times where I would have, a gentleman, a dad or an uncle or something that would say a comment to me while a child was talking to me or sitting in my lap for a picture, like, oh, well, do you have space in your lap for me? Or maybe you and I go up to your tower, disgusting things. And I couldn't do anything except sit there and smile and, pretend I hadn't heard these lewd comments. And, that was, again, I thought of the entertainment industry as a whole and how so often, female performers have to just kind of smile through awful situations, and obviously situations far worse than what I was enduring. And for Greta, who has suffered this extreme loss of power, she's been, her trust has been betrayed. She feels degraded. She will never be able to, when she goes to the locker and she sees this, she'll never be able to fully erase that picture, that moment. And I wanted to give her a moment where she took the power back. Now, is it a smart decision? No. But is it a decision that, results in some satisfaction? Absolutely. Like I also think that it's one of those moments where it quite literally spirals out of control. It doesn't start as I'm going to set the locker room on fire. It starts as I want to get rid of this picture. But Axe body spray is flammable, so it will
Yeah.
set a locker room on fire.
I honestly love that so much because, like, even when I was a young adult, I was walking with two people that were 18, so relatively younger than me at the time. And this is years later that this happened years ago. So, like, we were on a military base and we were in our dress uniforms. We looked really nice and we were just walking. And this isn't a place where I would think a civilian would bombard us, but a man had wolf whistled at us while we were like doing our duty, like we were working, and we all were just so flabbergasted. And I wanted to turn around, yell at him, get his name, get his son in trouble, who was also in dress uniforms, and it would have been so satisfying. But it wasn't, to me, it wasn't worth it to his son because his son was graduating Marine Corps boot camp, so I wasn't gonna like get this poor kid in trouble. But reading this book, like, the reason I consume books, and I think a lot of people consume books, is because we want these satisfying things that we can't necessarily have in real life all the time. So, like, that was like, yes, you know what? Axe body spray being flammable in that moment, bad decision, but it was great in the book. Okay, so if James got away with everything, would James have actually helped Gray get his start to fame, or would he have disposed of Gray once he had gotten what he wanted?
He would have forgotten Gray immediately. Absolutely. No, that would not, Gray was not going anywhere except for that theme park. That was because I think that's what men in power do. They gather their power with false promises. And Gray is desperate for any kind of power, and he thinks he's a member of the boys club. He is a threat. And I think this is also a thing in entertainment, that the men who are successful in their places in entertainment do not want to share the bad ones. Obviously, I'm sure there are lovely men, but they do not want to throw that ladder back down and help someone who is literally forcing them out of roles. Like, they would be going for the same role if James were younger. And so he does not want to see someone else be successful. Absolutely not. No.
So pick one scene from your book that you think sums up the impact that you want readers to make from this, or maybe your favorite scene that you think sums up what is most meaningful to you from the book.
I mean, I feel like I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna pick maybe a couple, but I think that I loved writing the turret scene, the castle turret scene where they discover Neil's body, because I loved that it was like fun, flirty, cute banter, and then suddenly we have a body. And like I wanted that wanted that. Similarly, their first kiss is followed by Greta getting kidnapped. Like I wanted that, literally, like you're like on a high romantically and then, oh, we are in a thriller, sorry. But I think one of the scene that probably encapsulates it the best would be the basement, because that's where everything's kind of coming out and into the open, and you get to see the four of them kind of together.
Yes, I was so happy for the communication to finally be happening because I was like, Ivy's not allowed to be bad. Like, thank goodness we're all talking now. And I love when Ivy's like, I kind of knew what you guys were up to the whole time because you guys don't know how to keep a secret. But
Not at all.
I don't know how to keep a secret.
Honestly, the whole ending, every single reveal towards the end there was just so great, and it was it's crazy to say this about Thriller, but it was so fun. Like it was fun to read it, and it was like exciting, and you do have that giddy romance, but then it's like this is still a thriller. There is a dead body. There's multiple dead bodies. So like
Yeah.
honestly, the writing and the pacing and everything about this book was just it was so fun to me.
And I think
Thank
like on a
you.
more meaningful level, I think like a reader who is the same age as Greta reading this book would actually be so appropriate. Like you would see your own internal thoughts and maybe learn some lessons from the people in this book, but at the same time it's like still an escape of like this is crazy situation, but I do feel like the characters were all really relatable in their own ways. Well, not all. I did not relate to
Names are great.
I understood the other characters.
But we unfortunately do know people in like kind of like James. I don't know if they've ever murdered anyone. I hope not, but
Yeah, love a
they're out there.
narcissist. But okay, so thank you, Veronica, for joining us with us and giving us your wisdom. And we're super looking forward to your book coming out. And you gave us a little word about it before, but can you just sum up again what book is coming out in the fall of this year? And then again, tell us your social media handles and how people
Yeah.
can or not track you.
Yes, so thank you so much for having me. This is incredible. You guys do such a phenomenal job on this podcast. So thank you for running it and inviting me on. You can find me at Veronica Bane, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, kind of anywhere you can think an author would be on social media, but those are the three places that I haunt the most. Goodreads, and the Difficult Girls paperback is coming out in July, and then the next YA thriller, which is a completely independent standalone thriller, We're All Going to Die Tonight, ! Is coming out fall 2026. And it is about a group of 7 teens who are on their way back from a failed debate competition, who stay at a remote Airbnb, play a deadly game of 7 Minutes in Heaven, and we see bodies dropping all over the course of the night. It is told through 7 points of view, and it is all over. It's a little bit less than 12 hours, so it is a breakneck pace, but I hope that you will enjoy the characters as much as you enjoyed these ones.
yeah, that's gonna go straight to my TBR. Like I am waiting for it now. I'm so excited for that. As the two of us, I'm like I love thrillers. I consume so many of them, so this is like I'm so excited for this book.
Yes, this was my first thriller. So
Yay! Oh, it's such a good show. There's so many good ones.
loved it.
And as someone who's read a lot of thrillers, I think this was like the perfect introduction to thrillers. So
Yay!
honestly, it's great. I'm so excited for your next one, and I will definitely be getting a paperback copy of this book.
Yeah, so
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.